Um, it looks like we're on.
Are we on?
Yep.
There we go. Time for the BB5 wrap up. The day after the event. What are your thoughts waking up this morning? How do you feel?
You know, it's always it's always sad the next morning when I come down here, and I know that for the past few days, like a lot of my good friends have really been here hanging out, and we've all been having a good time. So I come back here now, and it's like a ghost town. You know, it's just like I'm waiting for the tumbleweeds to start going by because it's like it's so desolate, you know, and quiet. And even last night, you know, a cricket got in, and you hear the cricket coming. It's
a single cricket
now.
Came in. There was a cricket here last night, jumping around the floor, and it must have jumped about 4 or 5 feet in the air.
It was crazy for its body mass to like jump that high. I mean, they were like a Superman, you know.
And it's funny because I've stayed here, and it's been an honor to stay at your home. And I've noticed the contrast between the rooms full with people and this busyness, this bustle of guys playing, this competitive drive, and then at night when everyone goes home, all you hear is these crickets. So it's quite interesting. And today it was kind of appropriate. Last night, this lone cricket was kind of like letting us know, hey, I'm back.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I started to do the live stream on Monday, and then my battery died on the camera, and then I think every single outlet was like filled with everyone else's phones that I just like it's all good. I just filmed the next day. Besides, our game we got into was so intense
on Monday.
I mean, we finished the game. We only had 2 minutes left on our clock,
and the other team had 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Yeah, I would describe. Yeah.
There was such not only was it an intense game, and when it ended, it still took 10 minutes to figure out who won.
Nobody knew.
And each time somebody figured out, someone else won. It's like first they won, then we won, then they won, then we won, and then they finally. We just said that we at the very end we was like, okay, they got it by $1.
Yeah, by one right point they had 70 IPCs which they needed, but if they had 69,
we would have won.
We would have won.
Yeah, there's one.
And it got counted multiple times, and every time it counted, there was a different result. I mean, somebody different would count it, and they had a different result. And we're sitting there, and I don't know how you were feeling, but personally, how I was feeling was that I was happy if they won. I was happy with we won, and the consolation prize was like I was so tired and physically exhausted from such a grueling event that I thought the consolation prize was maybe tomorrow we don't have such a competitive game. You know, we can take it easy tomorrow. We can relax a little bit. Of course, that wasn't the case.
No, because then we had to play Corporal and G.I. Joe the next day. That was a grueling battle too. I mean, we had like 17 minutes left on that game.
It was
on our clock.
Yeah. And like overall, when I took a pause and walked around, I would say I felt that the competition this year, like teams brought it. You were aware that a lot of the guys that had come, have been preparing for a long time for this event, practicing on the weekends, going WhatsApp, going whatever means necessary, but just talking about BDR and how to improve. But a lot of time and effort, and I think it showed.
It was fierce.
It was fierce competition, but not fierce like ruthless, but meaning like people really spent a lot of time and energy on formulating their strategies, working as a team, trying things that we haven't seen before. But there was teams that the two teams that finished in the gold game last year didn't even make the top 6 this year, which goes to show like how like neck and neck everything was. Like it could have come down to one little mistake when you're a little bit mentally tired or whatever it was, but that might have been what flipped the game or whatever it was. But it was fierce. Like it was like this.
It was
for 3 days.
And the timer's just
Oh.
It's I've never had a problem in the history of playing this game. I've never had a problem ending my turn with 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
Plenty of time. This year, man, it was brutal. It was like stressful. It's like, you look at the clock and it's like you got 2 rounds left. It's like you gotta make this happen.
Gotta make it happen. And I think and it's fair enough because we're all under the same, so it was fair for everybody. But probably in our game, mistakes were probably made because we were working as fast as we could, but did we make the best decisions possible all the time? The micro efficiencies.
On that, we did not. We messed up round 8, especially looking back now, knowing we were only one IPC away from winning, in which we could have easily have gotten 10 more.
Yeah.
I mean, easily if we
just
if we used one of those 2 minutes on our clock to actually just look at it for a second, we probably could have pulled ahead.
And we can laugh about it now, because I think it's funny how we were so stressed out, and it's funny when you get in that I would say almost a panic state. You're probably like not making the best decisions. Where if you just taken a step back and think clearly, like can you meet your objective? And I think Parker was cool.
But we had a thing this year. If your clock ran out, you auto lost. There was no okay this like before. It's just like, so we could not afford, thinking that we won, we could not afford to lose because of the clock.
Yes.
We had to like go done. And that actually, trying to beat the clock is what made us lose by not taking that extra minute to look for that.
For that.
Because we could have easily have said save 10. We needed 1. We probably easily could have got 10.
Yeah. And different scenarios.
But that's part of the strategy though too. I mean, that's part of the game for the tournament play is you have to complete your game in 5.5 hours. You know, and that's part of the stress. I mean, that's part of the weights that are put on you. Not only do you need to bring your game to actually know the rules and do your turn efficiently, you have to really speed up your turn. You have to, and it puts the pressure on.
And this year it showed the teams that had put in the work might have known the rules a little bit better. They were more efficient with their time, so they were able to meet their objectives. Which the next question I was thinking about, and probably all of us were really wondering about coming into this, was there's a different formatting now for placements on the final day, on the third day, being 6 teams versus 4. How do you think things turned out?
You know, I thought it was a crazy idea. I pitched on the chat. Actually, I didn't really pitch it on the chat. I pitched ideas in the chat, but nobody gave back their feedback. So I just picked something, which was totally different than I even pitched. I just came back with the option 4. That wasn't even an option before. I just like, this is what we're gonna do it instead. Whatever. And but everyone was like, at first some people were like, huh, what? But then everyone liked it though. When I went around and talked to everybody, everyone liked the new thing. And what's funny is Fed by Your Dread, we know is a great team. Midwest Bombers, we know is a great team, and both of those teams are always in the top brackets. If one's not gold, generally, if one's not gold or silver, the other one is. You know what I mean? And of course, there's been a couple more in between with those because Fed by Your Dread has only been to the event twice. But Midwest Bombers has been here every single time. So naturally, they've been in the top bracket more. But that's just because they've been here more. But my point is, they if they have gone head to head in the old system, one would have got gold and one would have got silver. But now, with the new system, the gold has to fight with it's win or lose. Loser gets nothing. Silver has to fight. Loser gets nothing. Bronze has to fight. Loser gets nothing. And Fed by Your Dread got the gold. They won. Their opponents got nothing. Midwest Bombers won. Their opponents got nothing, and it was still one got gold and one got silver. It was
a very similar result.
It would have been the same thing had they went head to head.
Just in a different
manner. Now silver has to earn their medal. It's not just handed to you, because before you could actually be at that gold table and be like, I'm still walking away with silver, so whatever. You know what I mean? But no, it's not. You don't walk away with silver anymore. You walk away with nothing if you lose that game. Which is big. Which that makes that gold game way more intense.
It was very intense because when you're walking away with nothing, you got to throw it all in. And you know, I didn't necessarily know everybody here, all the teams, but my perception of walking around, the teams that finished in the top 6, where I thought they were playing at a level of intensity and strategy, like they brought their game. And I thought all those top 6 teams were a fair representation of the teams that had brought it to this tournament. On this particular day, they put in the work, they put in the time, and they were there. And if I was to guess the teams that were going to finish in the top 3, I think that's a very fair representation of the collective, which in a short tournament, it's very hard to achieve that objective. And so I just want to say that great job, great idea, and I was happy to see that the teams, Gargantua and Carl Seven and Detroit, that they had gold, and BK and Hambone and Parker and Brian, like that's, I was like, yeah, that's how it should have concluded.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I don't feel somebody placed that shouldn't have placed.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt that way at one of our events, that somebody placed that shouldn't have placed. So now that just shows me that new system is probably here to stay. I don't see myself reverting back. It's probably going to keep this format from here on out.
And I overheard a lot of conversation, so I don't know these gentlemen well, but Rust Belt Brigade, how they have never made the top 3 before.
Mm-hmm. And
they really, it goes to show, they really brought it this year. They put in the work, they put in the time, they put in the energy. So I think everybody was quite happy that, hey, these guys, let's acknowledge that it was great for us all to see the fruits of their labor that they put in to, be in the top 6. Shout out to them.
They brought their game for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to play those guys.
Right.
I don't want to play anybody in the top 6. So that was amazing. What should we talk about next?
Well, I'm gonna say just real quick, just because it's always for me, as a host, because I work so hard before you guys get here. I'm already kind of exhausted when you guys show up, and so it's always a catch-22 for me. Do I want to play on Monday or whatever? Would I rather just chill? It's almost the curse of winning. It's like
you gotta keep playing.
I gotta keep playing the next day, and honestly, yesterday just hanging out with you and the other guys and just having a peaceful, relaxful day.
Yeah.
Watching the other games go while a lot of us just sat here and talked.
Yeah.
That was fun for me. It was fun.
I think all of us were physically and mentally tired, even in day 1. Going into day 2, it's like this. You're just trying to get through. Where's the finish line? Let's go. And like you said, on day 3, people were so intense. People were sweating. People were sitting down. I saw people when they sat down wanting to almost close their eyes and having a nap. That's how physically and mentally tired people were. And on the day 3, those guys who I say brought it, those are probably the last team standing. Everybody else was too tired to go on.
Yeah.
I just want to relax today. I just want to put my feet up. I want to have a coffee. I want to have a drink. I want to go whatever it is to relax. I want to socialize with my the brothers, and to see those top 6 teams still duking it out on the 3rd day, I was like, man,
and
I'm glad it's you, because I don't want to.
And those games, they went to they were around 8. I mean, it's like sometimes the medal games. It was you can call it 6 or something like that. No, these games are going to the end.
Let's acknowledge that all 3 of the games for the top 3 all went to the end, and they were all competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
A true bloodbath in the sense of bloodbath.
It was.
It was I would say even from last year to this year, it's wrapped up.
Because I remember last year playing, we would get done before a lot of other teams. We had time to sit and relax before the other teams were getting done. We were at the point where we were the last teams getting done.
Yeah, every minute counted.
Mm-hmm.
You had to time when you took your whatever it was, your glass of water, your break to get some food, because those were critical minutes. You couldn't afford to miss anything.
No, and so it was, which made it a little more for me this year, a little more daunting on my energy. Just in the past, I've always gotten that.
Well, I give you credit, because when you're playing in an event, for me that's enough. I don't want to do any more than just play, because it requires all my energy and all my attention, and I have to acknowledge that there's questions that came up. People need this, people need that, and Sauer always took the time, no matter what stage of the game he was in, to have that pause just trying to answer the question. There was times I'm going to be looking at rules in the rule book.
But when we say we have that pause, we never pause
You
our
never,
timer.
you never pause your timer. So I just want to acknowledge that somebody who can multitask, maybe one of the best multitaskers I know, who can go over here and solve this complex task when someone has a rule question, and come back here and still figure out your strategy and how to win a game. So I just want to acknowledge that. I think hosting the event is enough, but playing is also enough. When you combine both, credit.
Oh, thanks.
So, and something else, I think, we talked about, is how amazing it was, the amount of contributions and donations from people that were here, and obviously some people that weren't here, combat miniatures and historical board gaming, such a big part of our community. We wouldn't be around, without their support of all the amazing products they sell. But a lot of people, brought gifts. They brought donations.
Yeah, people that showed up, they brought gifts. They paid extra for the events
on top of the registration.
And even which nobody even knew about the event, but there's still people reached out. A few people reached out to me. Hey, are you having an event? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, can I donate? I'm like, sure, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
it was amazing. Like, there was behind the camera is a bar, and that bar was literally filled with gifts and something that people had brought and donated. So, I think, is there anything you want to say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate all you guys. Like not only you are my friends. I feel like you guys, we're all a family.
Yeah.
It's like this is our family reunion every year. It's like we all come together and we have a good time. And the generosity. I mean, look at all the alcohol that was brought from my bar. There's 3 bottles just sitting right there. And there's not even enough room. I got to put bottles in the cupboard. There's just so much.
And I guess maybe that's what's important to remember, to think about here, and really appreciate, is the kindness and the generosity and the giving nature of the community. Like, that's what it felt like. Everybody comes here. It's like they're opening their arms and saying, "Here, I have something for you."
Yeah, because
I have something for you. It was like an exchange.
No, I didn't even know. I think 95% of the people that donated, I didn't even know really until they showed up with it. No one ever said, "Hey, I'm gonna bring this for you. Hey, I'm gonna bring this for you." They're just like, they just showed up. Oh, hey man, put this here. Or here's something for you, and then here's something for the event. It was like, it feels special.
It does, and I can say that from last year, I was able to bring home a few items, and those items, I use in my gameplay, and they're special. Every time I see them, I think of the BBR4, and so the items that people took home, like, we're gonna appreciate that and have that for the rest of our lives. So I just want to say thank you to all the people that gave.
No, for sure, and there was a few people that gave that wasn't here. So when people, in case for those who don't know, when you come here, I hand you guys tickets. You put them in all the prizes, and then we draw names, and you get those prizes. But the people that are not here, that have donated, still don't get that experience.
Yeah.
So there's a few people that, like I said, who just reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard you have any events?" Because we didn't advertise it at all. Not one post. It's not on my website.
So again, it goes to the kindness of the community. Somehow somebody figured out this was happening and wanted it to be special, and said, "How can I help? What can I give you?"
Yeah.
And that's just like, it blows my mind, the kindness. So I think you've got something you're gonna draw, right?
Yep. So you take this for a second. I know don't open it yet. Let me grab. Let me show you. So this is what the person's gonna get. Me go over here.
Yeah.
So this, like I said, so the people aren't here don't have these tickets to put into the prizes. So I want to give out, one of the event maps to them. So we got the BB5 map. We played on this map.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And this is just for this person's name in your hand right there. They're in.
You want me to open
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Let's see who's getting this map.
Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please.
Go ahead. It's gonna be initials.
MT.
That's Matt Todd.
Matt Todd.
Matt Todd. Matt Todd, buddy. That he's.
The next question is Tokyo safe?
Right.
In fact.
But and Matt Todd, he is a big part. Even though he's only been to one event, but he is a huge part of our community, behind the scenes. He's like behind the scenes guy. He's the one who got the cards. He's the one who got the roundels. He's the one, he's just like, when there's an update for the cards and people don't really can't afford to buy new decks, he gets those couple cards that may have changed and sends those to those people. I mean, he's behind the scenes and he does a lot. He got the cash money on there for me. I mean, every time I do the art, he takes it to the next level and makes it a product.
Yeah.
If it was still in my hands, you'd just be getting the PDF. And you'd have to find some place to print it and figure out what you're going to do with it.
Wow. So that's really appropriate. Not to take it from other people, but like it's good to acknowledge Matt because he's a really big contributor in our community.
He is. So thank you, Matt Todd, but not to take away from the other people. I mean, I think you guys, SS and General Fund were the other people that are in here. Those three people that had reached out. And just say, hey,
Thank you.
Can I give you something?
Yeah, every little bit makes the tournament a little bit more special, right?
It does.
So,
it does.
Yeah. And I think you think about us as a group, and we're all competitive guys. A lot of us are A-type. A lot of us want to win. Over the years, there's been a little bit of conflict. We're like a family. We're not always going to be best friends. We're going to have conflict, and this. How do you think things turned out this year? Like, were there any problems, or how do you think people interacted?
I think for the 99% was good. It was really only two things, and it was the same thing, and which we'll have to make better clarifications for next year, but it's just timer issues.
Yeah.
We're not running out of time issues. It's purposely running out of time issues.
Yeah.
So we'll have that. Once we had a talk with them, everything was fine. But we'll make sure that we have a really clear understanding of the do's and don'ts of the time clock.
Gotcha.
So there is no way to find a loophole in the system.
Yeah.
But like I said, that was the only two issues that came up, and once we went over there and talked, the issue was just gone. The issue was really not an issue anymore. So that's the only two things. That's.
Do you think
that
when we left here, the tournament, I don't think anybody, and I have to say, like last night after the event was over, we went out for dinner. We went to the steakhouse, and there was a big group of us, maybe 25 of us, and it was just wonderful. It was like a conclusion. It was like we're all exhausted, and all of us wanted to get home. But when we left the restaurant, we stood in the parking lot for probably another, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes.
I was gonna say at least
half an hour, and nobody wanted to say goodbye.
No.
I saw people giving each other hugs. I think I hugged Brian about 20 times over the last 2 days, just because of our day one game was so intense. But saying goodbye was hard.
It's funny you mentioned that, because we did leave, and we gave hugs, and then we started talking again, and then it's like, oh, it's time for another hug. All right, I'll see you later.
It's time for another hug.
Yeah.
So there was fist pumps, there was handshakes, there was hugs. I heard guys saying to other guys, "I love you, brother."
Mm-hmm.
And this is a love out of respect for your brother, because it feels like family. And I think nobody left here without feeling that connection to our group of family,
which has never happened before. There's always been just maybe not bad issues of this, but there's always been maybe something that's like maybe this person wasn't comfortable because of this person was comfortable with this person, and all that is gone. All that's gone now. All that is gone now.
So yeah, thank you for you guys for
thank you for you guys. We had the video about this is my home.
Yeah.
And be respectful, and everybody was.
Yeah.
Everybody was respectful, and with being respect to each other, everybody had a good time.
Which is
Everybody
not
had a
easy,
good time.
easy to do
No.
when we're driving to win.
Right.
And we're all competitive. So you have to be, so yeah, great job everyone.
Yeah,
And also, the video that you made before, regarding the other particulars, the parking and the
Yeah.
toilet, no hitches.
No,
no hitches there.
I was honestly surprised. I didn't know how many people would actually watch that video, and I expected to have to go down there and see who's parked in front of my neighbor's house, and he needs to move his car and put it where now, because no one else parked right. But everybody parked the way I said, and we still had room for more cars.
You still had, that was amazing. So
It was every single car was parked on this property.
on cue.
Yeah, and then we didn't have the toilet was fine. Everybody did what they're supposed to do, and that's how you keep a fine machine running. You do what you're supposed to do, and everything else will be fine. And that's it's exactly how it was with personalities. No personality clashes. I mean, it's just like you do what you're supposed to do, and it's gonna run. The event will run smoothly. And if you're that person that doesn't, do the things you're supposed to do, well, then that trickles down and affects everybody else.
Well, just an example. Just say a car was not parked properly, and now maybe the tow truck shows up, or something happens. We're all playing. It's going to interrupt. It's going to slow things down. I don't know what we would have done if there was an issue with the toilet not working.
It was,
I don't think any of us knew what are we gonna do.
Yeah, I mean there is no backup plan.
You're gonna have to hold it for 3 days, guys.
We're gonna have to start getting the buckets out, and there's a wheelbarrow out there. But like I said, there's certain a few rules that are in place for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make it more difficult. It's just like there is a reason.
Yeah.
And so everybody does what they're supposed to do. The parking, the restroom, the courteousness to everybody. This was, I think, for the amount of people that were here, flawless. It was flawless.
No, I agree. Now going into it's the off season now, and a lot of discussion is going to happen about BDR. What's going to happen for BDR 6? Are there going to be any rule changes? What are your thoughts for BBR 6 or going forward?
I wanted to push for 13 BPs on this past version.
Yeah.
I still want to push for 13 BPs. So I'm going to do that push again.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be discussion. There's going to be playtesting. Yeah. It's going to happen. Yeah.
Now, if you look at the day one, Allies is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 win on Allies, 2 win on Axis. And then you look at the day 2, it looks like it's all Axis, and the medal round is all Axis.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So this is the first year it hasn't really balanced out, and just because all Axis win doesn't necessarily, to me, in my vision, doesn't mean it's just Axis favored. Because basically, if you look at it, day 1, most of the Allies won.
Yep.
Well, then day 2, most of the Axis win, because those power players that won with Allies can also still win with Axis.
And let's just say there's some strong teams here.
Yeah.
That you're gonna be under fire from the moment the first dice rolls.
Yeah, because you can say it's Axis favored, but you put you as a saying it's Axis favored are put against a power team who are Allies are probably gonna crush you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the way the day 1 drawing was, a lot of the heavy hitters played on day 1. Like we were almost in that category because we lost by $1. I mean, so So and then day 2, pretty much those same teams won again.
Yeah,
so you had the power players that won their Allies. And you had the power players that won the Axis. So obviously on day 1, you have almost all Allied teams win, and on day 2, you're gonna have almost all the Axis team win, right? All the Axis team won, and then those power players are now in the finals. So again, you're gonna have the Axis teams winning. So, it's really hard. It's really hard to distinguish you know, as far as a balanced issue when you see team lineups. So it's I still push for 13 VPs. That would probably, you know, and we say we play that for the year, and we take, because a lot of these power teams are my friends, and that's who we generally play. Like,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to see how that is going.
Hey, dude.
What's up? We're doing a video right now, just so you know. We're live. You can be in it, don't be in it, but
No, I like watching you guys.
Okay.
From afar.
that's Bill Calloway. He come in here. We're gonna play some gold next. But so back to the points. It is just it's hard to really distinguish. You know, it is hard. It's a fine line. So we make it to 13 VPs, and now Axis never win anymore. It's, you know, it's on that line. So what I would like to do is start testing at 13 VPs.
I mean,
Leave all the rules the same.
well,
Start testing at 13.
there is some people in the group that have advocated saying, hey, is this game Axis favored? Is this game Allies favored? And then there's a group that lies more in the middle. But I wouldn't say that there's certain, it's not like everybody's saying one thing and this is what we need to do. And that's probably what you need to have is an honest, and that's what obviously is happening, but an honest discussion about, hey, so-and-so feels this way, you know, and, you know, maybe you have an opinion, but, you know, obviously playtesting is the best way to conclude. And the changes you made from BBR4 to BBR5, I think addressed some of those issues, you know, the tank in Calcutta, backing the Russian forces up a little bit west, adding more units to Turkey.
Which nobody did Turkey now.
Nobody did Turkey.
Everybody
Everybody was scared.
Everybody's scared now.
I don't even know if anybody did Spain. I didn't remember seeing it.
No.
Those four.
I didn't see it.
We
I
did
didn't see it.
Spain.
Oh,
You
you did
did?
Spain.
Yeah.
So there you go. So some people did Spain, but you know, again, and you gave me this advice, talking about, you know, whenever you're doing a game, when you're changing one thing, you have to just play test that. If you change too many things, what really truly happened? And so, so yeah, I think he did a great job in you know, bringing some of those adjustments into the game this year. And I would say, in my opinion, that was more balanced this year than BBR. I would say BBR5 is more balanced than BBR4. So, and I don't think any of us will ever agree, so let's acknowledge that. None of us will ever agree 100% what it's gonna, is it balanced this way? Is it heavy favored Axis? Is it heavy favored Allies? So,
Because it's all relevant to who you play with, or
Yeah.
who you know who plays the game. If your friends always win as allies because maybe they not have strong Axis players, and vice versa, your group are strong Axis players, but you necessarily haven't found the ropes of the allies and how to strangle the Axis. So so it could always look skewed to you and your group because it's you and your group, and
sometimes
you have tunnel vision on those objectives.
I think sometimes, as the game evolves, the evolution, going back to G40, I remember for a while, the G1 strategy, or the J1 strategy for Japan was something that just people thought is, we can't stop this. If they do this, they're going to win every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. You know, maybe the dice get cold and you have a chance. But then it took a long time. It didn't happen right away, but people figured out a counter for it. And so, is this a scenario where it's unbalanced, or is this a scenario where nobody's figured out what to do about it yet, and it's going to come? Somebody's going to figure it out.
Mhm.
And then when it does, everything's going to change slightly, and then someone's going to figure out something to deal with that problem. And so, this is just an evolution of the game. It's an evolution of our skills, it's an evolution of our strategy, it's an evolution of what other people are doing. But the good players, they seem to really know, if you're going to do this, they automatically just clicks in their brain, this is what I'm going to do to counter it. And that's part of the enjoyment of the game.
Mhm.
It's like, so we can have this discussion, but make it an enjoyable discussion.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be upset about it. And everybody got to play, so whether it was Axis favored or Allied favored, where everybody got to play either, so it really didn't matter. So it automatically, it's a tie right there. And on day 3, it was a draw. So
Yeah,
it
random
could have
draw.
gone either way.
Mhm.
So, and if you're and if I actually feel, if you are the best team, you're going to end up on top. Like maybe the dice get cold, so but you know you're gonna win. So that's my personal thoughts. But anyways, it's you know it's always gonna be discussion. That discussion's never gonna go away.
But you're right. It's like you find how to stop things. Like at the end of BB4, there's a lot. Oh, it's Allied favorite. Really didn't do anything until I figured out people were going to Turkey. They're like, oh, now it's Axis favorite now. It's just like we didn't even do anything except people found a new move. You know, and
that was Gargantua.
Yeah, and then so you find a new move and they're like, oh, so all the people now that we're saying was Allied favors, like nothing has changed, but now they're saying it's Axis favorite. It's just because you know you find a way to
maximize that benefit.
Yeah, when you're getting your butt kicked, you find a way to like, well, if I do this, I won't get my butt kicked anymore over here. Yeah. And we're at that phase now. It's just like I feel like I totally agree with you. We're at that phase now. This is happening to me. I need to stop.
You need to stop it.
I need to stop this.
How do you save this city from falling? How do you defend this? And you know, it might take, and this acknowledge, it might take us a couple years to figure it out. It's not going to come easy, but somebody is eventually going to get there. And then maybe, you know, maybe that now it swings the other way, and things need to be adjusted over here. But people are so creative and so crafty that if there's a millimeter gap or you know a tiny little hairline crack, they're going to get in there and they're going to exploit it.
Yeah, they are.
One S added to any of the word in the rule book, one punctuation mark. Are you talking about a singular? Are you talking about plural? Someone's going to find that, and this year it came under the two transports together can block naval movement. Now, I'm not even sure if that was the intent of the rule in the rule book, and I don't think a lot of people even knew about it, but it was a factor in the event.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. Okay, and I wrote the book, and then I've been asked off chat, does that happen? I've told people no, and then it come up. And I was trying to prove in the book it wasn't there. You know what I found? I wrote it in the book, and I didn't even know I put it there. It was like, but there it is in bold letters. It's in bold. Note: 2 transports can block naval movement. I'm like, I don't remember putting that there. Well, obviously I did, but somebody saw it once upon a time, and
knew it. But that goes to show, like, people don't just like read the rule book, just one time. People study this stuff. People say, okay, what can this unit do? How do I maximize its effectiveness? Is there anything else? And people study this stuff. And this goes to show the hard work that you're not just reading it, you're trying to figure out a way to make it work to your advantage.
Right. Yeah, you are looking for that correct. You're looking for that wording to be so defined that you have a loophole. You're looking for
you have a way to make it to your advantage. To surprise your teammate, and maybe something a little bit unorthodox that nobody's done before, your brain is thinking, which again goes back to I think how hard people have prepared for this event. Like people have really studied, people have talked to their friends, people have chatted in chat groups, and there's often discussion in the chat group, like somebody's playing a game and they don't understand, and they ask a question, and there's responses, but nobody can necessarily agree until you find out the rule book. And now, sometimes, was this rule in the spirit of the game, or was this something that was just added in, but not really the intent? But that's just how it's interpreted when you are a lawyer, and there's lawyers in our group, how they interpret it. And if that's the case, that's and thankful that every year the rule book is updated. So these little fixes we bring forward, you've always addressed them. You don't just push them aside. You don't just say, well, the problem's not ignored. It's addressed.
We had 2 attorneys here this year. Right? Yeah. And one of them in particular was the one that was really adamant about some of the wording, and sometimes is it wording or intent? So it's awesome that they bring these stuff up, because now I can actually fix the wording to be the intent.
And these things, and you've said this in the past, that when these you call them debates or issues come up, they are a good thing, because if they don't get brought up, they're not going to be addressed. Then there's going to be 2 guys playing on a Saturday or Sunday that don't have this necessarily connection to you, and they want to know the answer, because was this a +1? Was it a -1? Can this block? What can it do? And sometimes these things are critical.
And we don't want people teaching other people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because how they interpret it, and that's how they show their friends. So if there's spots in the rule book that can be interpreted one way or the other, those are the corrections that need to be corrected. So there is no interpretation. It's just no, this is the rule.
And it's hard. We talked about this in our first day. What the intent is in getting the wording perfect in the rule book. Like that's not an easy task. Because I might interpret it this way, but Bill or somebody else a completely different way. So the absolute best way to have it in the rule book, so that you and I and Bill and whoever else, when they read it, we all see it the same way. And that's all. Maybe that's an impossible task, but at least we're going to continue to have those discussions, and it's going to continue to be, you know, it's an evolution. It's fluid.
We
So-
had to, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
We had to stop the game one time because of what happened, our interpretation of 6A. I don't know if that was in rule V3 or V4. We had to stop the game for a little bit because we couldn't understand the naval bit. Anyway, this was semi-unclear, so we had to. So that's happening all over the place.
Yeah, no,
It's good to know.
that's why it's important. It's important.
It's important. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
important to make sure that when you and your friends sit down to play a game, you don't have to like. It might take you a minute to find it in the book.
Yeah,
It's like any other game. You like. I know I read it here once upon a time, and you gotta like sit there and find it. But
Well,
as long as this needs to be in there.
The rule for the naval blockade thing about transports, the only reason I knew that existed is because recently in our chat, it was discussed. And when the question was first brought up, I thought there's no way transports can, you know, two together paired can form a naval blockade or block movement. Until someone actually took a picture of the rule book and put it in there and was like, no, you guys are all wrong, this is the rule book. And that's how I remembered it. So when I came up in the tournament, when I said, no, Sire, this is the thing, and you looked it up and it was there, was because of the chat. It was because people in our community, when someone does have a question, I have to give everybody credit. Everybody wants to help out. Everybody's, you know, wanting to give their opinion of how they see it their way. And sometimes, maybe it's not actually worded in the rule book that way, but maybe the point they bring up is the correct interpretation of how it needs to be perceived. So yeah, like acknowledge that everybody's a part of this. Like you're the final arbiter, but all of us in this community are somewhat responsible for bringing these issues up and engaging in that discussion.
No, for sure. I feel this is no longer my game anymore.
Yeah.
I feel it's our game.
It's our game, yeah.
And so when you have suggestions or fixes, I want to hear all of them. I don't. And if you are interpreting one way, I need it, either I can look at your interpretation and see, do I like your interpretation better?
Yeah.
Or okay, so I need to clarify because that's not correct, and this is how I would like it presented. I work with everybody all the time on fixing things and addressing things,
And let's just say that not everybody always is going to agree.
And Tanvan had a really good suggestion that I don't even want to play test. I just want to do it. You know how transports have to be chosen last.
Yeah.
Well, he said, well, when you know how you have a bomber and you get the transport token,
Yeah.
and you land it. He said, well, why isn't that chosen last?
Oh.
And I'm like, I like that idea. It will be chosen last from now on. So I like the idea. So when you have your para now and you have your bomber sitting there and you get ran in, you're gonna have to choose that last. I like that idea. So it's little things like that if you bring me something that really makes sense, that it's a no-brainer, I'm probably gonna put it in there.
Yeah.
But that's how open I am to
But it's funny.
suggestion.
Often these little fixes that come up, they come. It initially started with somebody's idea. Somebody brought it up in the chat. Somebody mentioned to you in a side chat. And how it evolved is always something simple with a conversation or a comment that, hey, what about this? So, maybe there's 500 comments, but one of them makes is the one that makes the difference in the rule book. But yeah, enjoying this discussion.
The new bombardment rules we added were because of Gelso so it's like you know, it's our game now. I mean, it's no longer I thought of every single thing and we're playing every single thing that I thought of. No, it's we're playing like here's what I created, and now it's got like this what you guys created.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of it now is you guys.
Through evolution of feedback, yeah.
And there's the BBR is growing. There's more and more. I get more and more ideas and feedback from you guys, which is awesome.
And BBR is growing. Like you know, when I was in St. Louis, I was amazed at all the people from that area that are now playing BBR, and people are playing all over the place now. BBR, like it's becoming a real, almost a phenomenon.
And I do like to give props for Rob for that. Rob is excellent promoting the BBR.
He's promoted the game very well.
He has.
There's a real strong community now in the whole Missouri area. People are playing the game.
Yeah, no, he did a fantastic job promoting this rule set. Getting it out there.
No, it's been great, and who knows where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it's growing, and yeah, it's I think it's pretty cool that people are picking up. And what I would compare this game in a tournament setting, because you're trying to meet certain objectives in a time frame, that there's a level of intensity in BDR that I don't think is matched in any other game that I've played. Like, and I think that's what people like. Like, everything matters. All your purchases matter. All your non-combat movements matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the point now. You make really one mistake.
Yeah.
That really could be the game. That's how tight these are, and that goes both ways. You make a mistake as Axis, you're a turn behind now. That could be, you could just lost the game.
Yeah.
And allies, you forgot to move your units up in this area. It's impossible for you to get to where you need to now.
Not in 8 rounds, you're not getting
no,
back.
There's very room. There's no. I mean, the room for error is so minute for both sides.
Yeah.
In an 8-round game, especially now that people have gotten so good.
Yeah.
The room for error gets smaller and smaller every year.
Which is maybe why people are more passionate about it, because it matters more. Like this, can this unit do this? Does it have this ability? Matters so much more when people are aware this is the difference. So again, that goes to show how great the game is. That it matters that much. That it goes down to the 8th round. It goes down to the final play. It goes down to that one person who made that little micro efficiency correction, and the other player that terms of micro efficiency did not. That's the difference between a W or a loss. And sometimes, you know, when you lose the game and it was that one thing you did not do, that lesson sinks in.
It does. It does.
It's like, oh, I'm aware now. and that often gets shared, and now everybody knows. Which was funny because, you know, going back to G40, when I first started playing this game, you know, the term sneaky Carl, you know, when you're preventing people from winning, and it was nice to finally meet Carl. But I heard people talking about other stuff. There was something called something snake.
Cajun rattlesnake?
I don't even know what it was.
Called? I don't remember.
I'm gonna have to find the clarification, but these new things are happening, and people are aware of them, and I just think that's really cool. Like these moves, the greasy garg, that was the BBR4 that came out, and people are creative. Like people are gonna do it, but it's funny that, and it's usually whatever it is usually so painful to your opponent or so hurtful that you want to remember. It hurts, so you're gonna remember it. So you're gonna name it after that person. You're gonna call it a sneaky Carl. You're gonna call it a greasy garg. And I don't know what the rattlesnake, I don't know what that's named after, but we'll have to get to the bottom of it.
Someone used it on us.
Yeah. So, and those of you who don't know what it is, you might want to figure it out before BB6, because it might be a real thing.
So speaking of BB6 will be no longer at the end of September. It is going to be pushed to the first week of October, and that is because one of our brothers has missed his son's birthday every year since he was born to be here, and we're no longer, we're not gonna allow that to happen.
No,
We're
I
not
think
gonna allow that to happen.
that
So-
tugged on all of our heartstrings when you heard the story. You know, and all of us, and I think it's acknowledged that all of us had sacrificed something to be here, whether it was time away from family, time away from work. And we all want to be here so badly that we're willing to make those sacrifices. And I think when others had learned that this member of our community was going through this, it was almost how willing everybody was. to
Yeah,
say,
it's
"Let's do it."
a no-brainer. We don't want to go earlier because it's gonna be hotter here.
Yeah.
So the best choice is it would be a little bit cooler.
So the first weekend in October.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go whatever it is now next weekend,
Yeah.
and that's how we're gonna have to do it from now on. And you know
Oh, it means a lot to, I think, all of us that this one person can now celebrate the birthday. of the person.
I told him yesterday, like, don't worry, but you will never have to choose again.
Yeah.
So
No.
so,
And you know, and let's be honest. I mean, even if you're to play a game on one day at home with a friend, it's a big commitment. So to play for 3 days and fly somewhere, for some people it's 4 or 5 days. That's a really big commitment.
and also too, flight tickets this year were not cheap. And
No.
so people had to spend, you know, they invested a lot of money to get here, and you know,
Yeah.
it's-
And some people, you know, try to save money or whatever it was and came on, you know, a later flight or try to get, you know, a red-eye flight. And yeah, people were exhausted. People had shown up here with no sleep at all and had been up all night traveling, and that goes to show how badly people wanted to be here. And I can say that if I wasn't here, because, you know, I live in Canada, but BBR3, Canadians weren't allowed to come down here. And that would have been my first BBR event. And it was painful to know the event was happening and not to be here. So I understand why people make this choice to be here and make that sacrifice, because it means a lot to be here. Like, this is like the highlight weekend of my year in terms of being with my close friends. So, which now, we've talked about this, it really feels like this is not just friends, this is like family now.
it's a reunion every year, and we just
It's a
get together
reunion.
and play games.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's
BBR is just the medium that brings out all these qualities in us, but really it's the connection to the brothers and the family that make, or there's no, you know, females in the group, otherwise I'd say, but that's what it is.
I mean, and every night we just went out.
Every
You know?
night.
I mean, we take up the restaurant, big long tables down the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night.
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we took over the restaurant.
Yeah, it was. I'm almost speechless because I'm in awe that it's over. It's been such a great weekend, and thank you, Sarah, for hosting us. I mean, every time you know, it's my second time back, but there's been so many little changes and additions to your home and where we play, and I just want to. We've seen your YouTube video, but the Han Solo to my left is.
Thank you.
You created this space for us to enjoy, and what an intimate setting for us.
Yes,
to,
I wanted you guys to come here, not just play the game, but have a nice. I wanted your peripheral, just like have a nice, relaxing place. Because you have enough stress already. Just at least like if I could tone it down just a little bit, that you can glance over at Han Solo for a second and go like, okay, everything's okay. You know,
everything's cool.
everything's okay. You know, just relax.
The camera's not pointing that direction, but Sarah, you know, this is the ultimate man cave. But I look around and there's pictures on the wall. There's little sayings, but one of them, I can see it right now. It says the sign on the door. It says "Use the Force."
And what's
But
that
anyway,
picture of?
Somebody sitting on a toilet.
But it's Darth Vader sitting on the
Oh,
toilet.
Darth Vader sitting on a toilet. There you go. So, anyways, it's just like, wow, this is like the coolest spot to hang out. Like,
Thank you.
It's cool. It's the coolest spot to hang out, and yeah, thank you for sharing your home with us. You know, it's no small task. I mean, Sorry, how long have you been preparing? You've been preparing for this event since last BBR, since BBR.
Pretty much, because this nice area we're sitting in didn't exist last BBR.
Yeah.
It was nothing. It was all just raggedy and you know, it was all this was just kind of like basically just when you get a construction like a new construction, it's just like all this crap 2x4s and cinder block.
It was
you know?
really for you, and you're an artist, and this space down here was like a blank canvas. And as an artist, you didn't see 2x4s in a wall. You had a vision of what you can create down here for yourself and the community, and like I'm blown away. Like this is an amazing space. Like I don't think you could, if you had this vision in your brain. Not only did you envision it, but you also built it. So those two incredible things. You saw it and you did it. And yeah, I'm just blown away.
So thank you.
Yeah.
So and I know I was so busy this year to not even there's not 1 ounce of me advertising this event. So I will do my best to do next year to like let people know, you know. But it's just what happens is you guys all leave, and then the next day, I'll be back next year, and it's like, well, I really don't have any room to have any more people.
It's really tough.
So it gets tough. So it's like, well, there's nothing really to advertise because
It's already full.
it's at the point where it's just like you guys are just coming back.
And if you advertised,
Well, what happens now is like when you show up now, you guys have kind of first dibs to come next year. You know, what I mean, I can only hold so many people here, and I'm not going to tell you you can't come, even though you've come the past 2 years. So this other person that's never been here before can come. I mean, it's kind of at the point you guys are getting grandfathered in, and it's just kind of like, okay, so I'll see you guys next year, right? And that's it. You know, I don't, you know, we're getting to the point. There's not really, I don't know how many more people I can take. You know.
yeah, it's incredible.
So to advertise would be like I would have to advertise a wait list, really, to see if when you guys dropped off, then I can get someone else in.
And that wouldn't be fair to advertise something that was unattainable.
Yeah, that's exactly. So
you can't advertise, hey, I'm having this event, but wait a minute, we're already full, so sorry.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunately it's almost where it is.
Yeah.
I mean it's very unfortunate. So I mean, the way to get in now almost would be like you'd have to know a 2-man team that was already coming, and then be their third.
And
man.
there was and after comment, there was quite a few 3-person teams this year.
There was.
And they did well. And that goes to show that the game is getting so complex and so intense that to have that third person, you know, if you're able to work together in that environment to help each other out, what about this, was that the difference? Because the third, in the gold game, the 2 teams were both 3-person teams.
Because
And last year in the gold game,
if we had a third man, when we're trying to get through the last two minutes of our game, or we ended on 2 minutes, so let's say the last 5 minutes of our game, if we had another man that was able to take 2 minutes and count the right point for us, like literally just sit there
and count the right point. Yeah,
how many points, how much do they have?
that would have been the difference.
That would have been a difference.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Because like I said, we lost by 1, but we could have, we lost by 1, but we could have, you know, easily have taken that away. It's just, if we just would have had somebody extra, dude, I need you just do this and we'll win. Okay,
Yeah.
You know, but you don't see that. Sometimes you don't see it, but.
And there were some people that were gonna come, and life events happened, things out of control, and weren't able to make it here. And so for those people, I feel horrible because I know how badly I personally wanted to be here.
Literally on their way, and have to not come.
Which is
2 people. I mean, one person they got broke down, and another person had a death in the family. I mean, it's 2 horrible things.
These are the things, these life events, they're the only reason they're going to prevent people from really coming here once they're committed. But I want to acknowledge that, Raider Bill was the one who said there's an opening because, you know, what are you going to do last minute? And where does Raider Bill live?
I think he drove like 11 hours. Like literally, he said, I told my wife I'm going to play in the BB5 tournament. She goes, when is it? He goes, I'm leaving right now. And then to get here, because I think he left Friday to get here Friday night to play Saturday. And he did well. He did well. He he did well. I mean, he was.
And
It was
paired
awesome.
up with a teammate who he didn't know, and the two Bills, they were Bill squared, right?
Yeah, and they played the silver game.
They played in the silver game. Amazing. So, yeah, I think that needs to be acknowledged. That
Yeah, he did step up, and it's like, I'm on my way. And,
Yeah.
and when he got here, he was so happy he came. Yeah, I think he will be back.
Yeah.
I think he'll be back for sure.
That's so nice that in a pinch that somebody stepped up, you know.
And just
To
drove.
play.
I mean, okay, I'm leaving right now. I'll get in a car. I'm gonna get in a car right now and drive for the next 11, 12 hours, and I'll be there. It's like that's awesome.
Wow.
You know.
That's yeah. You hear these stories, and I remember going back to BBR4 when Detroit had a flight issue.
That's right. They canceled his flight while he was at the gate.
The last flight of the night. So it's a Friday night. Games are starting Saturday morning. You know, lives, you know, more than 10 hours away. Was it 14 hours
I think
drive? So. And said, I'm not missing this event. Drove all night. You know, shows up like maybe half an hour into day one on the Saturday.
He showed up just in time for his turn.
Just in time for his turn.
I mean, he did not miss his turn.
So
Like his teammate did not have to do his turn for him. He showed up just in time to do his turn.
it's like when I hear these stories, I think to myself, like, there's no way that I'm gonna miss now. I'm gonna do everything that I can because I know how hard the brothers in the family also work to be here,
They do work hard to be here.
and I want to be here with them to support them. So I think we all feel that way. Like it goes without saying. It's like it's not really spoken of, but I think it's good to acknowledge that that's how much we want to see each other and be here to play. So because not everybody understands. Like sometimes I'll tell people I'm going down to Atlanta or St. Louis to play in a board game tournament. They're like, what? I didn't even know you play board games or whatever it is. And it's like you explain to them what it is, and they're like, oh, okay, that's really cool. But to actually do it and how much it means, yeah, I think that's what, I don't know, like it's just part of my life now. Like this is one of my hobbies. This is what I do. It's part of my life, and I think all of us, BBR is a big part of our lives, and you know it's just cool. I'm happy that it is. Yeah. Any closing thoughts for going into the off season?
You know, I mean, we're gonna get on the chat now. We'll discuss the 13, and probably just honestly, we'll just probably start testing at 13, and so if you're at home practicing, maybe you want to start practicing at 13.
And it's funny. It's like it's so competitive now. People almost need to go home first. You know, make sure you get some sleep and some water and all that stuff, and start preparing for
Yeah.
BBR6.
Think about what happened to you, and then think about how to crush it.
And
Yeah.
what the snake? What is the snake? What's that called?
We call it the Cajun rattlesnake, but that's not it. But it was.
We need that's going to be the strat. How do we
Yeah,
stop this or defeat it or perfect it? One or the other. And that's the thing, because if you're allies one day, the next day so not only do you know how to make it work, you also need to know how to stop it.
Mhm.
So and that's also why I think we love the game is because you have to figure it out. You're always thinking about it, and maybe you're not always playing the game. So if you don't have time to play, I know people are going to be thinking about it.
You can still role play it in your head. Okay,
Yeah.
if this is there and that's there and that's there,
What am I going to do?
what would I need there a turn before to be in position to take care of it when that happened? You're just like, okay, what would I need? What do I need to do on my turn one? You might be in an odd place you never even thought about moving before, but now it's in position to deal with on turn two.
And so, and people also study via YouTube. So if you've played a game in the past and it's on YouTube, sometimes people learn by watching YouTube or learning in the chat, and it's a constant evolution.
Also, people do is like you're going up against an opponent and you know they got YouTube games. You go watch their games. You can see their game. You see their gameplay. You see their strategy.
And that's what the game's coming to.
Yeah.
People are studying their opponent. It's like poker, in a sense that I want to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. I want to know things about you, because it's not just you're not just beating the strategy. You're also competing against the person. In all fairness, you know you're doing this in a competitive way, but you're also competing against the person. And
yeah, I mean you got for gameplay, you gotta know your enemy.
Gotta know your enemy. Shout out to G.I. Joe. What's the saying for G.I. Joe? I can't remember.
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the
That's another
battle.
one too.
There you go. Knowing is half the battle. So you got to know your opponent. So the matchup draws this year were quite fascinating. How once we figured it out, who we're playing, it was like, I mean, I was scared who we were playing. But yeah, trying to learn as much about them as you could beforehand, so you could prepare. What are their tendencies? What do you know? What do you know? And it's just really cool.
Yeah, because like, I played Brian before. I played Parker before. So it's like, okay, we're trying to guess who's gonna play who. Like, is who, what countries is Brian gonna play? What countries is Parker gonna play? And same thing with playing Corporal. I knew there was no doubt in my mind Corporal was gonna be UK, because every time he plays, he's UK. If he's on the Ally side, he's always UK.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind he was gonna be playing the UK.
So that's quite funny.
And there wasn't no doubt in my mind he wasn't going to put an IC in Egypt, because he does every single time I play him.
Yeah.
Every single time I know he's going to be UK, there's going to be an IC in Egypt.
So it's quite funny because, we're saying goodbye now, or at least, and I find saying goodbye is not easy, but it doesn't stop in terms of our connection, because, like you said, as soon as we get home, people are preparing for BBR6. So really, this was like the highlight of the year. The fireworks all went off, but now it's like we're preparing for next year. What are we gonna do? And
it's all about know your opponent. Like we came into that we came into day 2 knowing our opponent. We came in knowing he's gonna play UK and he's more likely gonna put an IC there. And when you said, what do you want to do? I said, you take Calcutta as fast as you can. I'm gonna take Egypt as fast as I can.
Yeah.
Because the odds of there being an IC there were pretty favorable.
Yeah.
And it's just like you just have to know your opponent.
Yeah.
Really, if you look at the nuances that they do a lot in their games, and
That's
kind
how
of
competitive
you have
it is.
pretty good odds of knowing what they're gonna do. In the beginning, obviously
Yeah.
you get to round 5 or 6, now all that's off the table. Everything's
Yeah.
different. But when you have turn 1 buys and turn 1 this and that, and you can see the history, you can pretty much know what they're gonna do. For the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
Mhm.
The dice being the.
But that was one of the factors when we made that plan, because you go here, I go here as fast as I can.
Yeah, it was.
Just because of some of the knowing is half the battle.
It
Doesn't mean it was an easy game by all means.
Yeah,
It was grueling, but
And it's fascinating in this game, because often when I'm playing back in Vancouver, I'm just playing against one other person. I don't have a teammate. They're coming here having a teammate. When you're about to do something and you have a conversation about it, I really appreciate those moments where it's like, what about this? What about this mistake? Don't do that because of this. And it's like, whoa.